because I'm done talking, I've made my point. How big of the gap is the squad of Chelsea and Arsenal? Because for me, for Arteta to be 5 points away from that Chelsea side, and for you to sit there and give credit to Tuchel and to say Arteta's shit.
I'm always.
You've literally said we should build a team around him for the next 10 years.
At no point
You've literally said Chelsea should build a team around Tuchel.
At no point have I given any credit for him this season. At no point in this conversation have I said that.
If he's not good, I don't understand.
At no point in this conversation have I said anything like...
You're ignoring what I'm saying now, and that's not a debate.
Well, that was intense. You know, I think it's very important to occasionally flex your analytical muscle, have some debate, have some fervent, passionate conversation. It's good for the heart, it's good for the soul, it's good for the mind. But that felt very intense. On the video that was released on the Kickoff channel yesterday, you would have seen Brian, the true Geordie, and I going head-to-head, debating the merits or pitfalls of Mikel Arteta. And it got heated. It was intense. It really, like it genuinely was. You know, in the studio, I could feel Lawrence McKenna constantly trying to take the conversation back to the game that was on the TV. I could feel Adam McCullough kind of sitting back, enjoying it. Boovie doing his best to smooth things over. But it kind of went a bit wild. And it was great. You know, I thoroughly enjoyed it. But there was a moment where I thought, oh, Lordy, I'm about to be sacked. I'm going to be given the tic-tac live on air. I'm going to be given my marching orders out the door immediately. This is going to be a lower moment than when Carlo Ancelotti was sacked in the tunnel at Goodison Park by Roman Abramovich. I'm going to be sacked mid-show last day of the season. Unreal. Thankfully, Brian didn't do that. He's not as petty as me. I don't know if I would have been as restrained in those circumstances. But the moment where I said, you aren't making a coherent point.
You're constantly changing what you're saying.
Guys,
you're not making a coherent point on me at all.
Right, all right. Well, shut the fuck up, right? I'm going to have this.
In that particular moment, I thought my days were numbered on the kickoff. Heartbroken for that minor second. If you just take 1 second, imagine sitting opposite Geordie and look at this face. Look at his reaction to me saying that. Petrified. Because also, I was probably in the wrong. We can get on to exploring what both of us were saying now. I think that there's a clip that will pretty much summarise the entire debate. Let's play that in now and we can talk about it afterwards.
And Arsenal, because for me, for Arteta to be 5 points away from that Chelsea side, and for you to sit there and give credit to Tuchel and to say Arteta's shit.
I'm always. I'm not.
You've literally said we should build a team around him for the next 10 years.
At no point
You've literally said Chelsea should build a team around Tuchel.
At no point have I given any credit for him this season. At no point in this conversation have I said that.
If he's not good, I don't understand.
At no point in this conversation have I said anything like...
You're ignoring what I'm saying.
I love it. Contentious, combative, and borderline aggressive debate. That is why I love the show. I really do enjoy those kind of conversations, even if perhaps I pushed it a tiny bit too far there. I think what this argument boils down to is Brian has acknowledged my partisan and aggressive support for Thomas Tuchel. But the reasoning for the support isn't strictly football. With Arteta, we only need to look at him through the lens of football. We only need to analyse what he's like as a football manager. And for me, as a football manager, I think he's failed. And therefore, I believe that it is fair to suggest that perhaps he could be sacked. Thomas Tuchel has had to navigate a world away from football. And Chelsea are in borderline disarray. We don't really know where we're going. We don't really know what the new ownership is going to be like. And Chelsea hasn't been this unstable for 50 years. Therefore, I believe that something that we need is continuity. New personnel arriving, a new direction for the club entirely. The last thing in the world we want to do is also shift the manager. Thomas Tuchel has proved to be a good manager. He hasn't had a good season, but there is context to that season. But he has proved to be a good manager. And even if he isn't the answer, there is nobody out there better. So Thomas Tuchel needs to remain. And that is why I've been fairly passionate about saying that the new ownership, whoever they were, you know, this is what I was saying back in the day when we didn't know who the new ownership was going to be. I was saying that whoever the new ownership are, they need to focus on Thomas Tuchel and build the club around Tuchel. Now, fairly, Brian has heard that and has thought that it's unfair for me to say that Arteta could potentially be sacked when his team have only finished 5 points behind Thomas Tuchel's. I'm saying Tuchel needs to stay, needs to be front and centre of the club. Arteta needs to leave. But there are reasons. Arteta has been there for ages. He's spent an awful lot of money and he has got so much wrong. They should have made the European Cup this year. It's all very well saying in August, you never would have thought that they would make the European Cup spaces, and therefore finishing 5th is an achievement. But expectations change through the season. And when they got themselves into one of the most privileged positions that they could have possibly hoped for, they had the luxury of going to Tottenham, not needing to win, and still being able to qualify for the European Cup. In that context, he had to do it. He is never going to have a better opportunity to do it. Tottenham have been in disarray this season. They've had their captain, Harry Kane, issues. They've had the debacle over Nuno Espirito Santo. And still, they have finished above Arsenal. That is failure. Tottenham do not finish above Arsenal, particularly when they have had 2 fairly significant crises in the same season. Combine that with the fact that Arsenal have had the perfect opportunity to do it. Manchester United fallen away, Tottenham in crisis, West Ham preoccupied with Europe. Arsenal, no European football to concern themselves with. That is why I think it is different for Arteta to Tuchel. Tuchel has had to navigate a political context, a war context, a footballing context. There was so much going on. Lukaku issue. In fact, that came up in the debate, didn't it? Maybe we should have a look at that.
Well, you've got players like Lukaku, 100 million spent on him. You haven't got the best out of him. So if you can have a go...
haven't got the best out of Lukaku, mate. Yeah. This is mental. This is mental.
You're literally having a go at Arteta for not getting the best out of Aubameyang when Lukaku is a far better player. His record is way better in recent years.
Aubameyang's tweeting still how much he loves Arsenal. Lukaku is telling us, I want to go to Inter Milan.
Doesn't matter. It's Tuchel's job. You can't have one rule for one manager and another rule for another.
That's exactly what you're demonstrating. Lukaku
I don't know what I'm saying.
So this is an interesting point. Brian here basically says, if I say that Aubameyang needed to be preserved at Arsenal and his status as Arsenal's main man needed to be looked after and nurtured by Arteta, why do I have a different rule for Lukaku? And I do have a different rule for Lukaku because I think that Arteta made a mistake letting Aubameyang go. I truly believe that if he had kept Aubameyang at the club, they would have made the top 4. It was the stubbornness and the obstinate nature of Arteta that allowed Aubameyang to go to Barcelona and score goals for fun. If those goals were being scored for Arsenal instead of the 5 that were scored by Eddie Nketiah, their top goal scorer, by the way, I think they would have done it. So Arteta has made a mistake. He has let a player go, he hasn't replaced him, and ultimately his club have fallen short. That, to me, is a very different situation to what Romelu Lukaku has done. Romelu Lukaku has gone renegade and has gone Jack Bauer on the situation, has just gone and blown it all up, going to Italy, having organising a press conference with Sky Italia, and effectively ruining his relationship with Chelsea, the manager, the players, the fans, and the board. They're not comparable. Aubameyang could and would have stayed at Arsenal. He tweets about his love of Arsenal to this day. Lukaku wants to play for Inter Milan. I therefore believe that they are different, but I do also concede that Brian's point is valid. If it is the responsibility of Arteta to get the best out of his players, you can make a case for Tuchel being expected to do the same, but I just think the context is different. Do you agree? So there we have it. I have made my feelings about Mikel Arteta and the limitations that I believe he has as a manager very apparent. But I also think it's fair now that I put my cards on the table with regards to Thomas Tuchel. In that video on the Kickoff channel, I allude to a WhatsApp group that I'm in with the boys and we talk about football a lot. And a lot of the time I have been scathing towards Thomas Tuchel. Conceding 4 goals in 2 consecutive games to Arsenal and Brentford is unacceptable. Winning 8 games at home all season is unacceptable. But the reason I am forgiving is because of the context. The reason I'm forgiving to Tuchel is because of what is going on at the club. And that is why I believe Chelsea need to make Thomas Tuchel front and centre of everything that happens next season. Transfer policy, personnel, full recruitment, both in and out of the club, all needs to go via Thomas Tuchel. So with all of that in mind, yes, I view Tuchel and Arteta differently. But I believe this is as good as it's going to get for Arteta. He spent a lot of money. He's been there for ages. They've had no European football. And everybody else had a fairly disastrous campaign. Arteta could not capitalise and should therefore be held accountable. But it was fun on the Kickoff. I did enjoy those debates. They are good. They are fun. I honestly believe getting your brain ticking in that way, feeling the passion and feeling the the fervour is something that is very good for the soul. Flex the old analytical muscle. It's good fun. And thankfully, Brian didn't sack me. Let me know what you think on this. Was I too harsh? Was I too aggressive on the kickoff? Did I get a bit too wrapped up in the moment? Always keen to hear your thoughts. Do me one favour before you go. Click subscribe. In a bit.